Welcome back to the devlog. This week's topic is the rabbit hole. One of the major features of Song of the Tides is the aerial combat system. And to explain how it works, I have to talk a bit about the combat system in general. The core idea is to emphasize offensive combat, and one of the ways I'm doing that is by giving players a large variety of offensive options and a very small variety of defensive and counter options. Another element that works to enhance the offensive combat is the position game. Basically, I wanted to create an advantage for having the high ground, and this should be an actual gameplay advantage, not just a numbers advantage like dealing 20% more damage. So when a player slides down a slope, they can jump. Note that this is an advantage because in most other situations, characters actually cannot jump. They need some kind of ledge or obstacle that they can jump off, or they just have to have the high ground and then they can just slide down to jump. So being able to jump opens up two additional offensive options: an aerial light attack that can't be dodged, or an aerial heavy attack that breaks the enemy block. And it will also enable additional options like repositioning via aerial dashes or the grappling hook. So far so good, but here comes the problem. I've implemented the aerial light attack, but the problem that becomes apparent quite quickly is that actually the attack is working fine, but you can't really see the enemy that you're attacking because your character is right in front of them. And once you jump over them, the enemy is basically out of the frame and you can't really see what you just did to them. So now we gotta deal with the camera somehow. The solution that I'm going with for now is having the camera offset to the side, God of War style, while in combat it zooms out to show a little more of the action. This way, it's a lot easier to place the player and the enemy in one view without having one obscure the other. Also, I was thinking UI indicators for enemy attacks kind of feel like a subpar solution, and instead it would be a lot better to just show the player what's going on by zooming out the camera, although this will take a bit more effort to implement. Right now it is possible to switch between the centered Dark Souls style camera and the side camera, but I might retire these options if maintaining both starts to create a bunch of unforeseeable problems. The plan is to give control to the player of the amount of camera lag via a slider, but a minimum amount will always have to be present to avoid the camera teleporting and disorienting you. So basically, while trying to implement the aerial combat, I ended up working on the options menu and the camera system. And this is the kind of spiral that can easily happen when you're working on one simple feature and suddenly you notice like, oh, it's connected to a bunch of other stuff. And you gotta deal with the other stuff first, even though you weren't even planning to do that at this point. All right, hope you enjoyed this devlog, and don't forget to subscribe and like the video if you liked it, and I hope to see you next time.